Hey guys, I'm Dov, and today I'm back with more Total War Warhammer 2 online action. Damsel seems to be, or Prophetess rather, seems to be facing the wrong way, but nonetheless, we're here with Bretonnia, going to be taking on the Empire in the new patch. This is going to give us a chance to look at quite a few new features, so let's get started. Got Prophetess, Lore of Life, leading my force here up on a Pegasus. She's got Earthblood, Regrowth, no Assault of Stone this time, but we do have a Paladin supporting up in the air. Yes, indeed, the new and improved Paladin with his plus 12 bonus versus large and his Guardian ability to give her some extra physical resistance if needed. In terms of the rest of the army, we've gone quite wide in terms of peasants. Since foot squires have got a bit cheaper in the last patch, we've got 3 of them. They're 650 points now. Should be a bit more cost effective. We've got some spearmen at arms with shields, a couple of pole arms, beast slayers of Bastogne who also got a bit cheaper as well. So they should be helping to anchor the line here. In terms of Cav, we've got 1 unit of Grail Knights, the Regiment of Renown Knights Errant, defenders of the Fleur-de-Lis here. Over here on this side, we've got another unit of Knights Errant for a nice cheap shock cav, and we've got the Knights of the Lion-Hearted, the Regiment of Renown, Knights of the Realm, one of my favorite looking units in the game. Love these guys. Looking at the Empire side here, you can see he's gone quite wide with quite a lot of infantry here. Boris Todbringer on a horse going to be commanding the Empire. He's also got a Light Wizard with just Nets of Ammontok. A couple of Empire Knights forming a back line. Front line is going to be Spearmen with Swordsmen. It's also got 2 ranked up units of Halberdiers, so these Halberdiers are up to rank 7. They have 30 attack, 53 defense, and of course they do have expert charge defense as well, so looking forward to that. A couple of great cannons, 3 crossbowmen, and the silver bullets. Super solid pick in this matchup with their magic armor-piercing missile damage. So yeah, let's get things into full gear. Pretty old-school kind of infantry-heavy Empire army against Bretonnia, and with the double great cannons, I definitely like the build quite a bit. I'm going to be pulling my cavalry back right off the bat. You can see we did take a couple shots there, lost a few unit models there and a couple here, but you know, all good at the end of the day. We're going to be pushing forward with the peasant infantry force and kind of swinging these cavalry up and wide so that we can kind of get up around into this side here. Since my opponent's cannons are facing forward, I think they're even shooting at infantry right now. We can kind of swing these knights up and around and try and get within range without taking too many shots there, but we'll grab some cinematic action as the infantry approach under heavy fire. You can see those pole arms out on the flanks taking a shot there. And yeah, definitely glad the Empire powder units are more viable now. Definitely makes the Empire very strong. Looks like they've switched targets over to these Knights Errant, which of course is going to be a very good target. We're going to try and dodge a couple of those shots there, but yeah, ooh, man, those cannons are brutal to cav. But yeah, we're just going to charge straight into the face of these swordsmen, see if we can't disrupt my opponent's formation a little bit, and maybe potentially break through to the second line. This is also going to bait out a net from his Light Wizard, and I mean, Knights Errant are, what, 750 points? It's relatively expensive, but I honestly don't mind losing them necessarily. I don't think I'll lose them completely, but we get a nice charge in here. This is going to bait a net from my opponent, use up some of his Winds of Magic, and also proc that cooldown on the Nets of Ammontok so that I can then come in with my more high-value cavalry. You can see the other more expensive cavalry is currently moving up. Foot Squires getting into position, charging into these Empire State Troop Swordsmen. Obviously, Foot Squires with their bonus versus infantry will trade quite well here. It does look like, unfortunately, they're being debuffed by the White Cloak of Ulrich, but thankfully that +9 bonus versus infantry should be helping carry them. The Knights Errant do get routed off here, but we then follow up with a whole bunch of peasants and Foot Squires and so on, so we should be able to push through here. Infantry engagements actually surprisingly gonna probably go to me this time around, just because Foot Squires obviously outclass Spearmen, and we just have more numbers. The Halberdiers are going to potentially be pretty tricky to deal with. The Paladin and the Prophetess are going to come down, try and snipe out this Light Wizard here. Since he's used up his net, I'm not too worried about getting netted, and my opponent doesn't really have too much mobility. His Empire Knights are out still towards the flanks. 1 unit of Empire Knights, I believe it got caught up in here, potentially. Nope, they're still chilling out on the flanks here, but yeah, we are able to rout off that Light Wizard with the Prophetess and the the Paladin there. We are taking a little bit of fire from those silver bullets, but not the worst at the end of the world. You can see the Empire State Troops starting to buckle a little bit under the foot squires and so on. Empire Knights going to try and save the day here, charging through, but they are going into pole arms and spearmen at arms mostly, and Knights Errant looking to come back in the fight. Meanwhile, over on the far side, we've got a jousting competition going. Grail Knights and the Regiment of Renowned Knights Errant taking on these Empire Knights in a very beautiful cinematic combat here with lots of shining armor. The Empire Knights definitely going to be taking the south end of this engagement, but it is pinning me in place momentarily while those cannons fire in. Unfortunately, the cannons, ooh man, a little bit of danger close there, but these foot squires are going to get back and tie down these crossbowmen momentarily. The other crossbowmen are getting a nice crossfire. These spearmen at arms are getting a little bit wrapped up, so what it initially looked quite good is maybe starting to turn a little bit here. Beast Slayers of Bastogne fighting Boris, and these swordsmen here aren't necessarily doing great. They'll hold out for some time, but Earthblood going down there, healing up those Knights Errant. These Empire Knights are trying to come in the back line here, where the Paladin is currently tying down those silver bullets, doing a very good job there, not allowing them to fire. Swordsmen getting routed off, but these halberdiers, man, with their great stats, going to come in the late game and actually be pretty tough for these foot squires to deal with potentially. I actually quite like the pick of those chevroned up halberdiers. They seem to be pretty solid. They're definitely holding out quite well. 53 melee defense is super solid for that price, as long as they're not going to get shot up too much. And typically Bretonnia won't try and out-skirmish the Empire. It's possible you can do it with a lot of peasant archers and stuff, but I mean, with the gunpowder that the Empire has access to, obviously it's usually more favorable to just go headstrong, I think. But anyway, you can see the Grail Knights pushing through. We're just trying to inundate all the ranged units at this point, take down the cannons and the guns and so on. So yeah, you can see the defenders of the Fleur-de-Lis coming through, shutting down that great cannon. The Paladin's currently wrapped up in a bunch of Empire Knights, but of course with his bonus versus large, he's not going to mind this fight at all. He'll take this all day, be able to take down these Knights without too much issue. He's taking them down there, and yeah, Silver Bullet still relatively safe online, but we're just going to charge straight through. These Empire State Troop swordsmen are, you know, they basically weigh nothing, so we're just going to punch straight through them and go right after these silver bullets here. One of the nice things about Knights Errant, in the defenders of the Fleur-de-Lis in particular, is they have a better missile block chance than most cav. So in a potentially missile-heavy matchup, they can be a nice backline kind of compromise unit because they can get in there, get in against missile units, tie them down. They're relatively cheap as well. And that Frenzy gives them a nice charge bonus. But yeah, you can see those Empire Knights getting collapsed by the Grail Knights. And at this point, things are looking pretty rough for the Empire. Knights of Lionhearted, who have taken some losses, also running around trying to compromise these crossbowmen as the halberdiers just kind of waddle on by. They're trying to catch up. Oh, these are actually just spearmen. But yeah, the Prophetess comes down, finishes off this great cannon, which the crew had come back from rout and had posted up on the guns again. These halberdiers are still holding out, though. I mean, I don't really have a lot that can take them down. You know, a solid rear charge from something like the Grail Knights would probably do them in, just because they don't have much armor. They're relatively light mass. But obviously, you wouldn't want to charge them from the front, and you wouldn't want to stay in combat with them for any length of time with your knights. But anyway, Defenders of the Fleur-de-Lis coming, collapsing with a nice rear charge here. There's some more halberdiers also holding out desperately over on this flank. They've held out for quite some time. 89 kills, granted mostly against peasants, but still quite impressive. And yeah, you can see Empire is struggling pretty badly at this point. We're going to get the Paladin to come over here and try and take on Boris. The Paladin has worse stats overall, but he does have that bonus versus large, of course, and we're going to bring the Prophetess over as well to potentially heal him up. But the main thing here is that if we can do some HP damage to Boris, at the very least we should be able to proc army losses. We've also got some halberdiers and so on in support here, so oh, quit getting distracted, Paladin. Come on, you got a job to do. Fight Boris. Anyway, we'll soak up some cinematic action as these two chivalrous gentlemen go at it. Then again, I'm not really sure Boris is chivalrous. I'm sure he's prone to things like ambushing and using cowardly missile units and things like that. So, yeah, we're going to see off the unchivalrous Boris here with the Paladin, who is getting pretty close to his healing cap. He's been taking quite a beating, but of course the Lore of Life Prophetess keeping him alive. And it is going to be victory for Bretonnia. So, super fun battle. Well played to my opponent. Hope you guys enjoyed watching. Good showcase of some of the new goodies for the Empire and Bretonnia. Not all the new goodies for the Empire, of course. I'm going to be trying to bring you guys some Empire Crusade builds coming up soon with lots of Warrior Priests, Volkmar, buffing up infantry and cavalry and so on. We'll see how that works out, but in terms of this battle, I'm pretty happy with how this build worked. This is a pretty standard kind of anti-Bretonnia build. I would probably fine-tune a few things, maybe drop the swordsman and upgrade the spearmen to have shields, and maybe grab a couple more units of cavalry just to respond. Maybe change the crossbowmen out for something else as well. But overall, pretty typical anti-Bretonnia build with cannons and nets and so on. I feel like we were able to deal pretty effectively with it. The Paladin got in there, assassinated that light wizard, and just overall provided some nice anchorage. He held down those Empire Knights for quite a while, took care of a few of them. And yeah, overall I like the Paladins quite a bit more. He's a pretty tanky character, and that Guardian and the bonus versus large just makes him that much more useful. So we'll have to see. I mean, it's not definitive proof by any means, but definitely positive impressions so far. Same thing with the Foot Squires. I mean, Foot Squires is one of those units that were kind of on the cusp of being cost effective, and I think that with this cost reduction they've got, they're definitely much more cost effective. You can see a couple of them were actually able to get some XP chevrons. I believe these two started with theirs, but this guy picked up one more, 83 kills, 92 kills here as well, not bad. Most of those coming against State Troop Swordsmen, but still. Knights Errant and Defenders of the Fleur-de-Lis also did quite well getting in that back line. Despite the early damage, those Knights Errant, I quite like them just as a cheap shock cab option. If you think your opponent's going to go super infantry heavy or super ranged heavy, they can be a nice option there. Grail Knights, of course, absolute beast, 243 kills, definitely carried the day. Knights Lionhearted also contributed at 73. For my opponent, his State Troop front line did well in certain pockets, 80 and 74 here on Swordsman, not too bad. The Halberdiers also 127 and 104, pretty impressive all things considered, and that ranked up Halberdier thing might need some more looking at. The one issue I do see is that they're still very vulnerable to skirmishers, only 30 armor and no missile block chance. But if you don't think you're going to be facing a lot of skirmishers, or if you have the counter skirmish to deal with them, like my opponent did here, could potentially be quite useful to have some of those halberdiers. Whoops, get out of here, Bethesda.net. Anyway, I hope you guys enjoyed watching. If you do like this sort of content, be sure to like, subscribe, hit that bell notification button, so every time I upload a new video, you'll be notified. Thank you once again for watching, and we'll see you next time.